Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be chatting with you guys about my experience with red light therapy. And I have to tell you right off the bat that I am super thrilled to be sharing this information with you. I try really hard on my channel to temper my enthusiasm about things and not make any kind of claims for anyone else, but even for myself. There's always so many factors involved with different dietary changes, fitness routines, supplements, health and wellness tech, and stuff like that, that it's really hard to, tease out different results from all of these different things. And the internet is filled with people who make these huge, broad claims about a certain thing changing their life or having this exact result. And a lot of times it's like, oh, there are so many confounding factors that it is really hard to know what really is causing what. So I do try to be really, really careful with how I talk about things like that on this channel, and to always put the disclaimer that there are lots of confounding factors, and I'm, doing my best to share my experience from my perspective right now. Perspectives can change as other information, comes to light, pun intended. So all that to say, I am going to try to do that in this video, but I am so excited about what I am going to be sharing with you. And I feel like I have some really solid, both experiential data, like my experience with red light therapy, as well as hard data from my Ultrahuman ring. So I have an Ultrahuman ring Air. I've done videos on it before, so I'll link those if you guys want to check that out. But it is similar to an Oura ring, so it tracks all kinds of different metrics in the body. And so I have some really astounding data, like graph data, in response to the red light therapy that I have been doing for the last couple of months. And so I want to share all of that with you, and I will try to temper my excitement, but I am very thrilled to the point where I want to say things like red light therapy has changed my life. Red light therapy has turned my brain on again. I want desperately to say all of those clickbait things because I actually feel that they are true, but I'm going to try really hard to restrain myself. So what this video is not going to be, it is not going to be a scientific explanation of why red light and near infrared light is beneficial, or how it works in the body, or any kind of a scientific explanation of why you would want to use red light therapy or the benefits of red light therapy. I personally don't feel like I am qualified for that, and there are lots of videos on YouTube where you can find all of that information, all of that general information for people in general. And I will recommend watching Nick Norwitz's videos on red light therapy. He dives into the science on them, and definitely very, very helpful. I will link some resources down below if you want to really get into the nitty-gritty with the science. This video is just going to be my own experience. So when we have certain health issues, certain areas where our bodies are weak or lacking, that tends to be where if something works or has an effect, that's where you see the effect most dramatically. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. There's a whole list of things that red light therapy is said to help with and to do in the body, stuff like hair, skin, nails, sleep, things like that. So I'm not going to be focusing on the benefits where I was already doing pretty good. My skin was at a pretty good place, my hair's fine, things that I was already pretty good at, you don't see as dramatic of a result. So I'm going to be focusing mostly on the brain and cognitive benefits that I have seen, because that is where I had the most deficiency, and that is where I have seen the most dramatic result. So because this video is about my own personal experience, it's really important for you guys to know where I was starting from when I started red light therapy. It has been a long journey, and I'm not going to go into every single detail of it. I do plan on doing another video more primarily focused on the iron deficiency journey that I have been on. But the short version is, over the past about 2.5 to 3 years, I have been dealing with iron deficiency. For a solid couple of years, I did everything I could find to address my iron deficiency. I went down the road of addressing my gut health, which I had great results from addressing my gut health, but it didn't fix my iron deficiency issue. I got multiple iron infusions over the few years. The iron infusion was the only thing that I could find that would affect my ferritin number at all. No supplementation strategy, whether it be supplementing iron with things like vitamin C, supplementing iron every other day, supplementing copper and zinc and other things that support iron metabolism in the body, eating liver, taking organ supplements. Like, when I say that I tried everything, and I can't say I tried everything because that's impossible to say, but I tried so many things. I addressed stomach acid, I fixed my gut, I did all the things that I could find to get to the bottom of this iron deficiency. And what I found was the iron infusions were the only thing that would move the needle on my actual ferritin number. Of course, when you get an iron infusion, your body is pumped full of the iron, and I would see my ferritin go up the way it's supposed to when you get an iron infusion. But what would happen every time I'd get an iron infusion, the number would go up and then it would just drop back down super, super fast. And I found that iron roller coaster was extremely difficult to deal with on my emotions. It was horrible. I felt horrible. I would get an iron infusion, the number would be high, and then within a few months, it would just be back to, in the 20s or so. And in that time, I would try all kinds of different things, and nothing would ever help me maintain that level of ferritin. Now, I did make some progress, because the last iron infusion that I got was a year ago. And I found with that one, after I had made some changes to my diet, adding carbs back to my diet, addressing hyperthyroidism, which was huge, exercising consistently, fixing my gut, that I think was a huge one. After I did all of those things, I found that my iron, or my ferritin, did not drop as fast as it had previously. Before, it would be, iron infusion, and then every month or 2 months, it was down like 30 points until it was back down to, what felt like 0. This last time that I got my iron infusion a year ago, it took a full year for it to drop back down into like the 20 to 30 range, which apparently my body just thinks that is baseline. Like, it can maintain that 20 to 30 apparently, but it won't maintain anything higher than that. So even though I did see some positive changes in that my ferritin took longer to fall, something was still missing, because my ferritin did still eventually fall. So back in the summer last year, my ferritin was around 70, and then a couple months later it was around 50, and then a couple months later it was around 30. And when it got to that around 30 mark, that is when I started to feel symptoms coming back. And that ended up being around the holidays. And if you guys have been watching my channel since then, you might have noticed that videos were very few and far between over November, December time, both because of the busyness of the holidays and because the symptoms of iron deficiency were starting to creep back into my life. And for me, the main symptoms of iron deficiency that I experience are brain related. I will have what I would call brain fog, where thoughts are just difficult. I will have no motivation. This is one of the most difficult ones for me to deal with, because it just feels like everything, no matter how small of a thing, just feels like too much for me to handle. It's a very emotionally difficult place to be, because intellectually I know that it is no big deal to sit down and record a video. But when I am in that place of my brain not functioning optimally, it feels like like just an insurmountable task. Everything just feels oppressive. So I was slowly starting to have that set in. The other thing that I really notice when I am having iron deficiency symptoms is just my brain not firing as efficiently as it should. And there are a few little checks that I can make, different like tests that I kind of do where I'm like, oh, I'm checking in to see how my brain is functioning. And one of them actually is really, really helpful, and that is making videos. So sitting down and talking to the camera, it becomes incredibly obvious when my brain is struggling because I cannot get out a full sentence. I almost slur my words. I misspeak. I also struggle to hold on to thoughts. So this was especially frustrating when I would be doing like a chat with somebody or an interview with somebody on a video. I would think of a question to ask as they're talking and answering, a previous question. And by the time they finished answering the question, the thought would be gone. And it's like, I would be like, I have nothing in my brain to say. So super frustrating. And it's also apparent in, when you are reading out loud, you kind of have to look ahead a couple of words while you're saying the previous words to prepare. So it's not super choppy. It's like I would lose my ability to do that, and my brain couldn't have something else in it besides what I was actually saying. So that is where I was in December. I had seen some positive improvements in my issues. I had had a pretty good year because I had had that infusion in February, but as things slowly continued to drop, I was slowly starting to get the iron deficiency symptoms back, and I was getting to the place of being pretty discouraged. You guys know that I have been working on this really hard for many years. And I still am have my mind blown by how this red light therapy came into my life, because I didn't purchase it. I didn't research and figure out, this is the thing that's going to help me. I didn't do any of that. I won this red light therapy panel, and I had wanted red light therapy. I mean, I've heard amazing things about it for years, and I've always wanted to try it, but it was always one of those things that's a really big expense, and it never, was something that we really dedicated ourselves to and spending the money. And so I won this red light therapy panel. I was so excited. And I will talk about the exact device that I have and give you info about that at the end. But I received this red light panel right after Christmas, and I started red light therapy on December 27th. So it's been over 2 months now. I wanted to give it a good long time, even though I saw some really amazing results within the first week. I really was excited to share, but I try really hard to, be slow and take time and gather more information, and so I can give you guys a better perspective. So it took about 5 days or a week before I started noticing the results in my brain function. It's kind of like my brain turned on again, like it was running at low power and someone flipped a switch and it started firing again. It's like everything was dim and then the lights got flipped on. So I started to notice some of that. And of course, when you're just noticing symptoms in yourself, it's really easy to convince yourself of things or, ignore things. And I've experienced that absolutely for sure. But one thing that I noticed, and I kind of just noticed this by accident, I wasn't really looking for it. In my ultrahuman ring air data, I started looking through it, and I realized that when I started the red light therapy, my HRV jumped. It really quickly jumped. It was sitting at, and I have graphs of this, so I will show you the data, but it was sitting, since I got my ultrahuman ring, which was early summer last year, my daily HRV average over the entire 24 hours sat at around 40, which is pretty low. And just another little tidbit of my medical health history. I struggled with hyperthyroidism last year, and at that time, my HRV, I just saw on my Fitbit because I only had my Fitbit at that point, but it was my sleep HRV was down in the single digits. So my own personal experience with HRV is that the lower it is, the less health I have. The higher I've had it, the more health I've had. And again, if you want to learn more about HRV and what it is and why it's an important marker, and all people's different thoughts on it, definitely do some research on that. But my own personal experience has been lower, less health, higher, more health. So any trend upward, I was really excited about. And I knew that a higher HRV tended to show better health. And I did different things to try to affect my HRV. I tried some cold plunges, just paying attention to my HRV after exercise and things like that. And nothing I did measurably changed my HRV. It was solidly in an average of 40 for the whole time I had the ring. And then as soon as I started red light therapy, it just jumped. Like it was like a hockey stick moment. So after about a week of red light therapy, it leveled off at about 70. So average 40 for months and months and months, bumped up to 70, and it stayed pretty solid at 70. And then just in the last few weeks, I have added using my vibration plate while I do red light therapy. And I noticed that my HRV jumped up oftentimes into the 80s now. Occasionally it's been into the 90s. Sometimes it's still in the 70s, but it's more of an average of 80. So I want to say that the red light therapy plus the vibration plate added doubled my daily HRV. And I do want to throw in here the importance of what tracker you use. So I have a Fitbit and I have an Ultrahuman Ring Air, and both of them track HRV. But the Fitbit only tracks sleep HRV, and I did not catch this increase in HRV from my Fitbit alone. For whatever reason, my HRV at nighttime didn't have as dramatic of a jump as my average HRV over the whole day. So if you look at my HRV graph on Fitbit, you don't notice this incredible jump. But with the Ultrahuman, you get your sleep HRV, you get your every hour HRV, throughout the entire day, you can go and see what your HRV has been doing, because it's not just a static number. It goes way up and way down depending on all kinds of different things. So I am able to see way more information with the ring, and I would not have caught that data if I had just been looking at the Fitbit alone. So that's just an important thing to throw in there, because sometimes you're, looking at different options and you're like, oh, this tracks HRV and this tracks HRV, and that's the same. But something like the Ultrahuman Ring Air, they really give you a ton more data than something like a Fitbit and probably like an Apple Watch or something like that. So I spent 2.5-ish years trying to deal with these iron deficiency symptoms of brain fog and reduced brain function. And no amount of iron supplementation, no amount of iron infusions have had the effect on my brain that doing the red light therapy every day has. And so I have been very curious about what's going on with my blood work. Is this actually fixing my iron issues? So of course, iron has to do with oxygen being delivered through your body. And red light is shown to oxygenate your cells. So there's a correlation there. Again, I am not a scientist and I do not know all of the interplays there. All I know is how I feel. But there's something about the red light therapy that is helping my body be oxygenated, which iron deficiency symptoms are symptoms of not enough oxygen. So however it's working in my body, and if there are any scientists out there that want to give some insight into all of the nitty-gritty details of how this might be working, I would love to hear it. It would be very fascinating. But I did go in and get my blood work done, some blood work, and I'm going to be talking about more blood work in another video where I'm going to focus primarily on the iron deficiency journey. So definitely stay tuned for more information. But I got my ferritin and a complete blood count done in February. So it was about a month into my red light therapy journey, and I had already seen tons of cognitive benefits and like the cessation of all of my iron deficiency symptoms. And so I was like, am I going to get my blood work done and my ferritin's going to be like at 100? Like, did it fix that? Because in this whole journey, I had been chasing a ferritin of, at least 80 to 100, because I was like, that's where my symptoms will be resolved. That's what I had in my mind. That was the focus that I had. And so I got my blood work done and found that my ferritin was at 20. So still very low. But this was the interesting thing. In the complete blood count, my hemoglobin was the highest I've ever seen it. Typically, when I have not just had an iron infusion, it's somewhere around 11 or 12. And then when I have had iron infusions and got my blood test done, a few weeks after the iron infusion, it would be somewhere like 13.4, 13.6. I may have seen 13.8 at one point right after an iron infusion. My hemoglobin at my blood test in February was 14.1. So for those that don't know, and again, I am not the scientist to explain all of this, but I have this written down, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Hemoglobin is an iron-containing protein found in red blood cells that is responsible for the transportation of oxygen throughout the body. So it makes sense that I am not having as much of the iron deficiency symptoms when I have a higher level of hemoglobin. And a teaser for the next video when I talk about my iron deficiency, I got another anemia panel done with more details, because after that I was like, I need more information. And with iron, there's not just one test that's like a positive or a negative. It's very complex to look at, iron binding capacity and total iron and hemoglobin and ferritin. Like, there's so many pieces of it. It's hard to just get enough information from just one number. So I went and got a full anemia panel, and that was about 3 to 4 weeks after this other blood work that I got, where my ferritin was 22 and my hemoglobin was 14.1. And just a month later, my ferritin jumped up to 32. So it jumped up 10 points in 3 to 4 weeks. Now, it will be interesting to see if it continues to go up or if it's just going to stay in that 20 to 30 range, like apparently my body loves to do. But I was like, that was a little bit of an encouragement that maybe some things are happening in my body, and it'll start moving in the right direction. Although at this point, having experienced the symptoms at a level of 20, and then having experienced the removal of those symptoms and still have a level of 20, I put a lot less weight on the actual ferritin number. And, symptoms are the most important. So if I, always have a ferritin of 20 to 30 and I feel the way that I feel right now, totally fine. Not worried at all. But it will be really fascinating to continue to watch. This is only after 2 months. What's it going to be like after 6 months? What's it going to be like after a year? Just so interesting, so excited to see, what my body continues to do now that it's getting this supplemental red light. I may do a video at some point all about my red light therapy routine, but real quick right here, I'll just say what I have been doing is I have my red light panel on the ground, kind of leaned up against a bookshelf in my bedroom, and I try to do 20 to 25 minutes per day. I will do 5 minutes standing facing it, 5 minutes standing facing away from it, and then I will do 5 minutes facing away from it, sitting down, and then I will do 10 minutes facing towards it, sitting down. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. That's just what made sense to get, all the parts of my body. And in those last 10 minutes that I am sitting down, I do sit on my vibration plate. And like I mentioned, have seen a little bit more of an increase in my HRV from combining the vibration plate with the red light therapy. It's interesting. I started the vibration plate at a different time than the red light therapy for a couple of weeks, and I didn't see that jump in HRV. But when I did the red light therapy and the vibration plate at the same time, that's when I saw the jump in HRV. So that's kind of just an interesting little thing that I have noticed, just a little tidbit. Now on to the red light device that I have and kind of chat through that. So like I said, I won this red light panel. I did not go and research all the different brands because there are so many now. I did not go and research them all. I did not pick the one that I thought looked best. The one that I have is EMR-TEK is the brand name, and the model that I have is the Inferno. And so it's kind of one of their medium ones. It's not their smallest, it's definitely not their largest because they have some massive ones, but it's like an almost full body panel. So I can't, compare it to other brands. I haven't tried any other brands, but I can say that from the research I've done since I've gotten it, what I hear is that it is one of the top of the line brands. It has all the things that you are looking for in a red light therapy device: low flicker, the right wavelengths, the right, amount of power, all of the things. It seems to check all the boxes. I also will mention that I see the comment quite often from people saying, why in the world would you spend so much money on a red light device when all you need to do is go outside? And I totally get that. And as I've experienced the benefits of the red light therapy, it has really motivated me to put more effort into getting outside more. And so I definitely value getting outside. And I think that should be like your baseline of, lifestyle should include outside time and getting full spectrum light. I see so much value in that. But what I will say is that from my own personal experience, there have been lots of times throughout the year where I spent a lot more time outside. I mean, especially over the summer, we live on a farm, we're doing yard work, we're taking care of animals. I do spend a lot of time outside, and certain times of the year I spend a lot more time outside. And I would think that if it was just the amount of outside time and the amount of sun that I get, that I would see my HRV in those summer months to trend higher. It would just make sense. And then of course in the winter months when we get less sunshine and we're outside less, they would be lower. I didn't see that. I saw a really steady 40 through the entire year up until I added the red light therapy. And the red light therapy is the only thing that I saw that, drastic change with. Now, that's not to say that there's no perceivable outside time schedule that wouldn't give me the same results as the red light therapy. Maybe if I was living closer to the equator, maybe if I organized my life in such a way that I could live outside, more hours of the day, I'm open to that possibility. But I have seen this dramatic result exclusively from the red light therapy. And like I said, it's not at the exclusion of going outside because I see that as a huge benefit as well. Circadian rhythm, getting the right amount of brightness in your eyes at the right times of the day, all of that, super, super important. But for me, the red light therapy really was the thing that moved the needle for me. So after I had such amazing experience with the red light therapy, I did go to EMR-TEK and sign up for their affiliate program. Anyone can do that. It's not because I'm special. You can go and sign up for their affiliate program anytime. I've never talked to them. They have not sent me anything for free. This video is not sponsored by them, but I do have a link down below that is an affiliate link. They gave me a coupon code for 20% off their products, which you can use anytime. But I actually rushed to get this video out a little bit earlier than I anticipated because they are in the middle of a flash sale right now where they're doing 30% off any of their products. And it only goes until March 10th, so you have a few more days. If you do click my link down below, that helps me out. It doesn't cost you any extra or anything, but it does really help support my channel. And then if you are watching this video after March 10th, you can still use the coupon code, I believe it's just Indigo, to get 20% off of your order, and that should be good for the foreseeable future. But I will have all of that information down below for you to check out. Definitely do your research, check out some of the information I have linked down below to Nick Norwitz and others about the science of red light therapy. It still blows my mind how I have spent 2.5 years doing everything I possibly could think of to get the benefits that I'm feeling now, and this red light therapy thing just fell in my lap. And honestly, I see it as a gift from God, and I just am so incredibly grateful. And it is something that I will include, and I'm working on figuring out ways to include for my family members as well, because of the incredible benefit that I have seen from it. I hope this video was helpful. If you have questions, things that, weren't clear, or that you just have burning questions about, put them down in the comments. I would love to do some Q&A videos in the future, because I'm sure that I have left some information out that would be helpful. So comment down below and we can chat there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.